Hey everyone, welcome to the video. Going over today's MLB main slate for Dan DraftKings. Before we continue though, if you could leave a like, subscribe to the channel, I really appreciate that. You can also follow me on Twitter at ChrisPinell16. And I hope you guys had a good day in MLB yesterday. It was another good day for me. I was able to take first in the early slate, which didn't end till like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock because of that Boston game. But that Mookie Betts and Andrew Benintendi stack ended up getting like 60 points, so that was really nice. So if you guys had a really good game, good night as well, and on the late main slate too. So if you guys had a very good day, and hopefully that continues into today. And also, if you are playing NASCAR, the race got canceled until 1 o'clock p.m. today. So if you have that to look forward to as well. And anyway, if you want access to this cheat sheet and a bunch of other goodies, I do an article for every single slate, and I have my projections on here and the hitting model and pitching model and whatnot, and I fill out some other stuff as well. And you can get access to the Slack, which Slack's awesome. You can ask me questions all day, and just it's pretty fun to chat about the games when they're happening. So, and we already have over 50 members in Patreon, so just want to keep adding to it and hope to grow this even more. You guys have been pretty awesome with all your support on YouTube and Patreon, so I really appreciate all of that. And anyway, I will give you an example of what you get with the model when it comes to this cheat sheet. So let's look into first base today. I always like to give a free example here. So two of my favorite plays are Carlos Santana and Anthony Rizzo. It's not like a big surprise or anything, but let's just see how they match up versus their pitchers. So both of them are facing right-handed pitchers that struggle with lefties a lot, and both of these guys hit righties very well. Santana 284 ISO, Rizzo 270 ISO, and very high WOPAs as well. As you can see, versus lefties they struggle even more. So versus these righties, it's a much better matchup for them. And if we look, we got Tyler Molly, I've heard both, so I'm not sure, but then Ivan Nova. And both these guys really struggle with lefties. So if you look at their splits versus righties, not terrible. Nova is obviously much worse than Molly is versus righties, but as you can see when it comes to the lefties, they are much worse. Molly's giving up a 260 ISO versus lefties, and Nova a 231 ISO. So I do like both of these guys a ton, and although it's going to give the advantage to Carlos Santana because of the ballpark they're in, it's easier to hit home runs in Cincy. So it's going to give him the slight edge in projected points, but I do have Rizzo as a better value, but I like both a lot. So this is an example of what you'd get. It really helps you make lineups. It's what I use to make my cheat sheets. So just some thing to think about if you want access to this content. I'll put the link in the description below. It's going to take you to this page, and then you can pick out any package you want. UFC cashed again. That is now 87% cashing rate for UFC. Andrew, that's all him. So I just do the projections and make the sheet look pretty for UFC. Then we got golf, NASCAR, MLB model, and I know some of you wanted access to NASCAR and UFC, but I don't think you can get two packages on Patreon, 2 tiers. So I'm not sure. I'm pretty new to Patreon still, so I did make a bundle for that, and you can save $1. So I just took $1 off. So if you are interested in that, and then we have the All Sports for $20, and then NFL when that starts up, I'm gonna keep that price the same so you can get an even better value with that. So anyway, enough plugging commercial time. Let's get into the cheat sheet because that's why you guys are here. Just have to do that. I'm sorry. All right. So anyway, let's get into the cheat sheet. Pitching's kind of weird. Not a clear spend up in my opinion, but we do have a nice value pitcher. And I think there's a couple ways you can go. So let's talk about Aaron Nola first of all. I think he's 10,600. Can't remember the top of my head, but I know he's in the 10,000 range. And he's had three really nice games in a row. And he did just pitch against the Mets recently, and he had a very good game. I believe he had over 30 points. Although he doesn't come without risk, but I do think he's probably the safest option on the board today. But if you want to spend down and you want to get more risky, James Paxton, I do think he is interesting. He's been hit or miss this season, but I do like lefties versus Tampa Bay. And Nola's the safer option, but I think both are in play, and Paxton gives you the salary savings you may need to fully stack the Red Sox tomorrow. Or today. As you're going to see, I really like the Red Sox today. So I do think both are pretty interesting. And then SP2 punt, I do think this is going to be popular. So I guess maybe there would be merit to fading it in GPPs, but in cash, I'm liking this. Obviously this can change by tomorrow morning after I do a little bit deeper dive, but the price really stood out. And my model likes him as a pretty good value too, and he's a decently sized favorite. I know the Blue Jays are projected to score over 6 runs tomorrow versus the what's his name, Asher in the bullpen. So I think Thornton can get a cheap win here as long as he pitches good enough. He's super cheap, and he allows you to stack the Red Sox up. He's also a sizable favorite at home, which I said that. But he's been boom or bust this season, as most of his games are either in the 20s or they're in the single digits, as I've noticed in his game log. So just gotta hope his stuff is on and he can get some strikeouts, and I think he can pay off salary. We really only need 12 points, and feel happy about that. And even if he's chalk, he's fine, because I mean Max Fried was chalk and he got 8 points. So, but I mean, it was fine because he was 90% owned, but I don't see Thornton being 90% owned at all. But if he is higher owned, it makes him safer in cash. And then David Price, 9,800. I prefer him versus a lineup with more lefties, as he's been just elite versus lefties, but his numbers this season are all very good. And he does have a higher K rate versus righties. I believe that's at 28% versus righties, so it is a higher strikeout upside matchup. And Detroit just sucks, and it's his old team, so maybe there's some added juice there. I mean, probably not at this point in his career, but he's also the largest favorite on the slate and is nearly a lock for a win as long as he can get through 5 innings, which I would imagine he could. But I haven't had the best luck with David Price. He did do pretty well for me versus Toronto. But other than that, I haven't had the best luck with him. But I think he's a pretty safe play. I mean, he should be able to get you 20 points. And then at catcher, Christian Vasquez at 4,200. So Soto is going to open for the Tigers on a bullpen day, and it's the worst bullpen in baseball. And good luck versus the Red Sox is all I really got to say. The Red Sox should have a glorified batting practice tomorrow, and I am all about playing them. And they're underpriced. The price is silly. They're going to be uber chalk tomorrow, but I love it. And then Francisco, 4,200, murdering righties this season with a 385 ISO. And Thornton has been tough on righties, but pretty bad versus lefties, allowing an ISO over 200. I know I have interest in Thornton, but he isn't without flaws. And then John Hicks at 2,300. This could be our new Danny Jansen. I've played him a couple times, and he's hit value. I know I played him the night he got over 20 points. That was nice. Maybe I'm being a little biased there, but I do like David Price too. But at 2,300, just pure pump play versus a lefty, I do have some interest there. And then at first base, Anthony Rizzo and Carlos Santana. We already talked about them, so I'm not going to go too in-depth in there. And then Jake Bauers, 3,600. He's a cheaper, not as good version of Santana, if that makes any sense. But I'm not going to repeat myself, so just look above for the notes for Santana, like the lefties versus Molly. And then second base, Jason Kipnis. He should be betting cleanup, and same reasons as the other Indians. And then Michael Chavis, 4,500. I'm perfectly fine with. I think it's Chavis. I'm perfectly fine with fully stacking the Red Sox here, and I wouldn't leave them off your full stacks. And then Toronto, so there's like 3 guys eligible for Toronto at second base: Sogard, Biggio, and Gurriel. And they're all in play here. Gurriel being the best play, but that comes at a cost. So I think Biggio is the cheapest guy, so probably your best value. And they do have an implied run total of over 6, so I do have interest in them. And then at third base, Jose Ramirez at 4,300. Just to repeat myself, look at the other Indians' notes, and that's why I like them. And he's very cheap too at 4,300. And he's not a guy who strikes out a lot. Tends to get on base too, so it makes him a little bit safer. And great cash game play tomorrow. Rafael Devers, 5,600. He's a great GPP option tomorrow. I swear no one ever plays this guy. I got him at 3% the other night, and he had a pretty good game. And he's been awesome this season. So if you want to get contrarian with your Red Sox stacks, I would play him. And then Alex Bregman at 4,700. Always love Breg versus lefties with his 300 plus ISO, facing off versus a lefty, allowing a 300 ISO to righties. And then at shortstop, Frankie Lindor, he double donged, and you guys get the idea here with the Indians lefties. I like them a lot. And then Alex Bregman at 4,700. Just talked about him. And then Xander Bogaerts at 5K. Spend up spot for me today at shortstop. There's 3 lead options in my opinion, and it's also Trey Turner's in play too, but he's like the odd guy out with these 3. But I don't mind Trey Turner either, but I like these 3 much better. And all the Red Sox are elite options, and they are my favorite stack tomorrow. So do like Xander, and then he's another guy people tend to leave off their stacks. Usually it's just you get JD, Mookie, and Benintendi, depending on where he's sitting in the order. So I do like Bogaerts, although he was pretty chalky the other night, so I guess that's not technically true. But and then the high-end outfield, we have JD and Mookie. These are the easiest plays of the slate. Their prices are just insanely low, below 5K. Just load them up and figure out the rest of your lineup today. Absolute locks in cash, and really GPPs too. And Juan Soto, 5,200. Love lefties versus Junis, and this is one of the top home run spots of this slate. If you want to get sneaky, because people are going to spend up for JD and Mookie, then they're going to go spend down for another outfielder. So if you want to get different, you could go with Juan Soto. And then same George Springer, 5,100. Another Astros righty who kills lefties, and I already told you how bad Suarez has been to righties this season. And then in the mid-range outfield, we have Kyle Schwarber at 4,300. He's going to be popular for good reason tomorrow. Lefty leading off versus Nova, and he homered first pitch off of him recently. I remember that. So do like Schwarbs, and then Adam Eaton at 3,900. Cheap lefty versus Junis, and if you're fully stacking the Nats, he's very affordable, and he's got the speed upside. And I really didn't like anyone in the value outfield, so I kind of just have that for you guys. But I am going to put Jake Bauers in here as well, so because he is eligible in the outfit. So I don't think there's really any reason to go dumpster diving tomorrow, because if we do use Thornton as our SP2, we really can pretty much do whatever we want, especially if we're using a guy like David Price or Paxton, even with Nola. So no Scherzer type guys on the slate today to break the bank, so I do think we can pretty much do pretty much whatever we want with bats, which is what I like to do, which is my kind of favorite slates. And then for the core plays, I have J-Ram, JD, Mookie, and Schwarber. So all bats. I'm still deciding what I want to do with pitcher, but I definitely am going to lock those 4 bats in. And then the top stacks are making me the Red Sox, the Cubs lefties, the Astros, the Blue Jays, the Indians lefties, and the Nationals in no particular order, except the Red Sox are by far the number 1. And then I'm going to fill out the yellow stuff for Patreon members. And I'll have my article out as well. Alright, anyway guys, that's all I have for the video. Remember to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, I really appreciate that. And I wish you guys the best of luck tomorrow and have a great Sunday.